Hi, my name is Amy, and today I'm going to be taking you through a quick yoga sequence for core and the side body, so the obliques as well as your front abs. So we'll get started right away. This one you just need your mat. You can roll it out. And you can join me starting in child's pose. Bring your toes together, take your knees as wide as comfortable, sink your hips back towards your heels, and start to walk your hands forward, letting your forehead rest down onto the mat. And drawing the shoulders down away from the ears. And we'll start to wake up the side body a little bit here, walking the hands over towards the left side, reaching those right fingers a little farther forward as you press back through the right hip. And start to come back to center, walking the hands right over towards the right side. So the left finger is coming up onto the fingertips, drawing that right or left hip back a little farther. And coming back through to center, we'll lift up to tabletop. Setting up here with the hands right underneath the shoulders, spreading your fingers nice and wide, knees right underneath the hips. We'll wake up the wrists a little bit here, rocking forward over the wrists and then sinking back a little bit towards the heels. And getting a little bit of mobility going in the wrists before we start to come into some weight-bearing poses on them. This will be a little bit more of an intermediate class. And coming back to center, slowly start to turn your fingers out towards the sides. You can inch them little by little, and then start to rock your weight left and right. Keeping your hips over your knees. And coming back to center, you can keep crawling your fingers back, turning them outwards until they face back towards the knees. This might already be more than enough, but maybe you can start to rock the hips back a little bit towards your heels. And slowly start to peel the hands up, sinking back onto your heels. Make some fists and just rotate the hands in both directions. And we'll come back towards a tabletop position here. Walking the hands this time a little bit ahead of the shoulders. We're going to tuck the toes, lift the hips up and back, coming into a downward dog. You can bend into the right knee a little bit more, pressing back into the left heel. And then bend into the left, pressing the right heel. Paddling the legs a couple of times. Try to reach your tail back, shoulders away from the ears still. Let your head rest between the biceps. Coming back to center, we're going to kick that right foot up towards the sky, keeping that right hip grounding down. And then we're going to bend into the right knee, step it forward just about half of the way towards the hands here. We're going to roll onto the outer edge of the left foot, turning the right toes towards the right side and reaching your right hand up into this modified side plank. Try to lift your right hip a little bit higher, maybe reaching your right hand up over your right ear. Deep breath. Slowly start to circle that right hand back down. Turn onto the left toes and step your right foot back. Come back to downward dog. We're going to kick the left foot up in that three-legged dog position. Keep that left hip wrapping down. Bend into the left knee. Step it forward about halfway and then roll onto the outer edge of the right foot, turning your left toes to the left side, reaching that left hand up towards the sky, pushing into that right hand right underneath your right shoulder to lift the hips. Maybe bringing that bicep along the ear. Gazing up towards the sky if it feels okay in your neck. Slowly start to look back down, bring the left hand down, tuck your right toes, step it back, bend your knees, sink your hips back, this time keeping your feet and your knees together in a little child's pose. Hands can come back at the sides, making little circles with the wrists. And slowly start to lift back up. Coming towards tabletop here. Hands again will come a little bit ahead of the shoulders. We're going to start to rock forward into a kneeling plank here, and then start to bend into the elbows to lower down, keeping integrity in the core, and then lift back up. Sink the hips back. Inhale, rock it forward to that modified plank. Bend the elbows, keeping them in. Lift it up, sink it back. Repeating a few more times with your own breath. Last one. And coming back up to hands and knees. Tuck your toes. We're going to lift back up to downward dog. And taking a couple of breaths here. And then on your exhale, start to ripple forward into a plank. Bend into the knees, send the hips back. And then lift up to downward dog. Ripple it forward. Bend into the knees, making this circular motion. Last one with your breath. Holding here in downward dog. You can bend the knees, coming back to tabletop. Hands are going to come right underneath the shoulders here as you extend your right leg back, keeping your right toes grounded down, and then maybe crawl your left fingers forward. Take a big breath in, and then float hand and foot up. Inhale to find length. Exhale, we're going to find a little crunch, bringing knee and elbow together, and then extending it back out. Last one. Plant your hand, plant your knee. Extend the left one back, left foot back behind you, and crawl the right fingers forward. Floating up to that bird dog position. Bicep along the ear, heel presses back. Inhale as if I'm pulling your fingers forward and your heel back. Exhale to crunch, curling into the, extend it out. Elbow to knee, reach and find that length. Last one. Set the knee, set the hand. You can sink back towards your heels, coming into a little toe squat, maybe this time tucking the toes. And resting your hands on your thighs for a few breaths. One more round here. We're going to bring our hands forward ahead of the shoulders, tuck the toes, lift the hips up and back, finding downward dog. Inhale, we're going to ripple forward into plank. Shoulders right over the wrists, Feet about hip distance apart to start. We're gonna draw that right knee towards right elbow and then step it back. Left knee to left elbow. Step it back. Right foot's gonna come towards the outside of your mat. Bring it in. Left foot to the outside. Bring it in. Keeping your hips level. Right knee, right elbow. Step it back. Left knee, left elbow. Step it back. Right foot out. Step it in. Left foot out. Step it in. Keep those hips low. One more round. Right knee, right elbow. Step it back. Left knee, left elbow. Step it back. Right foot out. Right foot in. Left foot out. Left foot in. Lower all the way down towards your mat. We're going to bring the elbows underneath the shoulders here. Bring the forearms down to the mat, spreading the fingers nice and wide. Lifting the heart into a nice gentle back bend in Sphinx here. Keeping the toes pointing back. Pressing the tops of the feet into the mat. Roll your shoulders down your back and reach the heart forward as you drag the elbows back towards you. And starting to slow the breath down. Start to lower down, bring your fingers in, pressing it back. We're gonna sit back into that toe squat one more time. If on your feet, you can come onto the tops of the feet. We're just gonna make fists here and then bend and curl your fingers towards your wrists and then lift them back up. Like you're pouring 2 jugs of water here. And you make some circles. And then reach the arms out wide. We're gonna give a nice big self hug. Right elbow under left one. Reaching towards the shoulder blades. Inhale, open it up. Exhale, cross the opposite way. Left under right. You can slowly start to lower down onto your back. Bringing the feet about as wide as your mat. Opening your arms out towards the sides. And we're just going to drop both knees over towards the right side. And coming back up, both knees over towards the left side. And coming back to center, you can walk the feet in, reach your hands up overhead, pressing the shoulders into the mat. Maybe grabbing hold of your right wrist and giving it a little tug. And then switch. You can bring your hands down at your sides, extending your legs out, dropping your toes out towards the side, turning your palms to face up. Settling in here for a moment of Shavasana, just letting everything go. Taking the moment here to thank yourself for getting on the mat. Doing a little bit of strength and a little bit of stretch. And start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Bend into the knees. Bringing one arm up underneath you as you roll over onto your side. And pushing slowly back up to a seat. Thank you so much for joining me for this core practice, and I'll see you again soon.